My name is Lizzie. Each week I'm bringing along a different origami fold, and that's to encourage you to take some time out for yourself, for your well-being. All of these films are dedicated to my colleagues at UCLH, a hospital in London, but I'm encouraging everybody to join me in folding. It's such a beautiful thing to do. We can all hopefully find some paper, even if it's junk mail, old magazines, any paper. I will show you from A4 paper, or if you're elsewhere in the world, it would be letter paper. It will all work. And last week I shared how to make a little bud, and this week I'm going to show you how to get your bud flowering and becoming a cactus flower. And I think of cactuses as that kind of, against a dry climate, this beautiful flower emerges, and how bright that makes you feel. So this, for example, is made from a bud of 5, those little 5, the bud 5, and then I've built on petals, and I'll show you how to do that. This is using 3, and actually I've done a couple of layers, so hopefully you'll get the hang of it. So they all feel a little bit like they're all a little bit different, a little bit organic feeling, this idea of them building up. I hope you're going to enjoy this. It's really very much for your discovery as well. So I will remind you briefly how to make the bud, and then we'll get building on the petals. And it really is, I'm encouraging you to get the idea, and you'll be able to build your very own and experiment too. So I encourage you to be playful. So I'm going to grab something to press on. I've got a board there, piece of paper, and let's get building. Right, so I think what I'll do is I'll show you how to build a bud of 3 bud with 3, and then we'll build on a layer of petals on the outside. And you can do exactly the same principle for the 5, which the 5 does look, I think, particularly nice. This really does look round and open. So yep, you can give that a go. Right, so the right sort of size pieces, I'd recommend taking a piece of paper, folding it in half, and hopefully you've already made your buds, but I will just briefly run through it, but I'll do it a little bit faster than I did last week. So tearing that in half, I'm going to make a square, lining that all up, enjoying those little rough edges. They will actually look really good from the flowers too. Turning it over, bringing it back. Hopefully you're getting the hang of this. Good strong folds means it all works well, and just enjoy the feel of that too. Letting out a bit of stress, a bit of tension, using good effect. That's it. And dividing it up to make 4 squares. You can always pause and get on and do that. I think I will. Yeah, I'm going to end up making 6 petals so I can show you the bud and a layer of petals on the outside. And then you'll get a feel for how to do it. And folding it in half. They're all the same size. There we go. All there. So 3 for the bud, 3 for petals. I need to make another square. So we'll remove this rectangle, turning it over, and bringing it back. And I'll just make myself another 2 petals, so we've got 6 there in total, which will be enough to make a flower. Go. That in half. Okay. So it's actually the same little fold each time round for each petal. So again, folding in half along that diagonal. Let's do that for all of them. Easy to do the same move at the same time. There we go. That's it. Each of these. There we go. So if we take the outside line and fold that to the middle line, 18 points, that's it. And you can do that so it looks like a kite for all of them. Nice little kite shape. You can see them also as little petals or leaves. Enjoying those rough edges. I've enjoyed those rough edges, reminding me of trees, how we should thank the trees for origami. Paper being invented around 2,000 years ago in China, discovery, invention. Those natural fibres, there's so much you can do with it. So you can fold with sort of plastic, it kind of just not as good though, it really isn't. Paper is the ideal thing. It's very tempting to feel that other materials will work just as well. Paper really is the best for origami. So again, turning it to the smooth side, folding it in half, the tips meet, and folding it back along those lines. I tend to enjoy leaving a little bit of a rim. I think it looks really nice to have a little bit sticking out there. Makes it just a bit more interesting. More organic feeling somehow. And then folding it back. So we're going to do 3 for the bud and then 3 for the petals on the outside. This is a bit going through the same as the bud, isn't it? But I am going through faster than before. And that's exactly the same unit for those petals on the outside as the inside. It's just how you assemble it. Folding it back. That's it. Inside, folding in half. There we go, folding it back. Hopefully it becomes really quite relaxing as you're doing the same little moves over and over again. And as you repeat, you sort of understand it, you enjoy what you're doing, folding it back. It's a bit like things like knitting as well, can be soothing, these repetitive actions, but each time you're still learning and you're having to keep quite focused or it won't work, which is very mindful. It means your mind isn't wandering elsewhere, which quite often our minds wander elsewhere. It tends to be associated with feeling unhappy. We can always find things to worry about, but when we're doing something, we can leave those worries behind for a little bit. Most of all, worrying on the whole doesn't necessarily help, does it? So taking that little break for your mind is very good. You'll come back more resilient. Again, folding back along those lines. A little bit there. Just doing the same thing, and then we'll get making our flower. Almost there. Just one more to do. Folding it to the smooth side, folding it in half. Like turning it around. So I tend to think of these videos as more a little bit of time together rather than, it's not a quick instruction. The point is just to take some time out together. I always feel like I'm taking time out as well myself by doing this. That's right, folding it back. I just have to concentrate on what I'm doing. So do you. Right, let's make a bud of 3. So we have done this before, hopefully you have. But there's no harm in reminding because that's where you're going to have to start. So they look like this and they've got a little gap in the middle. So open up the flap from one side and push it in. See what I'm doing? That's it. Slot that in and you'll see there's that nice little shape that I like. And again, this is a full sort of triangle. So the same thing, slotting one into the other. That's it. Right, and then you need to seal it up so it'll become a nice little tight cone. So this is the full one, full triangle. So again, a flap from this one needs to go in to that one. So I definitely need to put the camera down and concentrate. It's that concentration that's rather enjoyable. Right. Needs to slot in there. It's quite tight. It's also quite strong as a result too. There we go. So you've got a rather lovely little tight bud. Beautiful. Again inside too. Very nice. So how to add the petals? It's quite simple. You'll be amazed. I hope you'll be amazed. Right, let's see if we can do it. Need to make sure that bud's happy and solid. So you might need to just check that it's all kind of happy along those 3 lines. That's it. So, how to build your petal. Okay, I'm going to have to direct the camera down again, I think. So, each time you have a little side, you can pop that in. You can again pop in that flap, and you've got the other flap. Now, kind of feels tempting to put it in there, but it really won't stay. So can you see I've popped one flap in one side there. Doesn't matter really where. Popping that in. Right, to be able to build another petal, because these are quite wide, I will go along to the next one. Hope you're following this. I'm worst at explaining ones that I found myself, aren't I? So let's start again. Right. So we've got a flap from one side, popping that in. Now, if I attempt to put the other flap into another one, it just won't stay. It really won't. So go on to your second petal. And the next gap that you can see, I can see a gap there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pop that in. Now, you can tuck in the previous petal into the side gap of the next one. So, I am trying to tuck that one in. That's it. Did you see it tucked in there? I'm afraid it's only by doing it you'll understand this, but that's the real joy, because you will get that sense of achievement. So on to my next side. Again, I can see a little slot. I don't think it really matters which one you pop it into, but again, I've opened up a flap, the next one, pop that in. And if I attempted to put that into the next one, it probably won't stay. So again, I am taking the previous petal, and I can take that previous petal and pop it into the next one. It's a real concentrated one, this, isn't it? You have to completely focus your mind, but it will start to work, and you will be building up layers of petals. And again, I've got another loose one here, so again I can pop it into the previous side gap. So take faith, it will take a little bit of time to get your hang of it, but what you're doing is you're using the bud as a sort of an anchor, and then as you add each of these petals, it's anchored on one side into the bud, the next one will tuck into the next petal. So these ones on the outside are much more loose, and it means I can start to peel it down, and if you have different colours, you can start to see a lot more layers in there as well. And you'll have to play around, and it's sort of the organicness of this which does make it feel quite kind of real. With this 3, you may even be able to use the same approach of anchoring into the previous one, tucking into the next petal, and you can try building up a third layer. You'll probably find then you need about 4 petals because it just won't stretch around, but it is possible. And I think the 5-layer one you'll probably struggle. The 3 layers just about, but can you see there's quite a few little layers? You can attempt to fold things back. It's rather beautiful inside too. So if you wanted to make so this is the 3, and if you did it in different colours, for example, this is different colours. I've done a colour for orangey bud and then green petals on the outside or leaves. This is one where I added another layer of petals, and I probably had to add 4 by the end, but you can see it just looks more and more like a real flower. So it's anchoring into the bud, one flap in, and then the next corner you can latch into the next petal, so all's interlocked into each other. And this is with a bud which has 5, a little core, a bud of 5, and then doing the petals the same way in. So again, each has been anchored inside the bud, and then the next one tucks into the following petal. I hope that works for you. It's a real one to just play with, but it's definitely possible, and you'll start building up a really beautiful organic flower. So I hope you can make your own little cactus garden and beautiful flowers and experiment, and they'll be really unique. So